Hello guys, welcome back to the Try Time Podcast YouTube channel. I'm Callum and this is the top 10 centres in Super League. Now, as I'm sure you've seen, we have now done the top 10 second rowers, the top 10 loose forwards, the top 10 props, the top 10 hookers, the top 10 fullbacks and the top 10 wingers. Obviously now we are on to the centres. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you all about our subscriber competition we've got at the minute. All you have to do is subscribe, and once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we will be giving away a rugby league shirt to one of the lucky subscribers. So yeah, do that, and yeah, let's get straight into the list. So at number 10, I've gone with Harry Newman. Now I just want to caveat, this is probably been the hardest list I've done, because I think there's so many that are just in the same ballpark for me, and I've had to leave some out that I'm not happy with, but I've tried to get a bit of a spread. So Harry Newman at 10, because I think on his day he could be top 3 on this list, but he just doesn't have his day long enough. There's, murmurs of attitude problems and things like that. If he performs like he did for England at the end of last season, then I think he's top 3 on this list. If he performs like he has done at times this season and last season for Leeds, then I think he's lucky to be 10th. It's one of them, really. A bit of a polarising player. If a coach can sort of get hold of him, if Arthur can get hold of him at Leeds the same way Wayne did at England, then he could definitely be a good player. At number 9, I've got Essen Masters. Now, he's really underrated. I think I do really like him. Obviously, he's joining Salford next season, but he's a big player for Huddersfield. Arguably one of Huddersfield's best players. Great defensively, great with the ball, as the majority of this list are, as what makes a good centre. And yeah, I just think he had to be on this list somewhere. And again, like I say, it's really hard between sort of like 5 and 9 here for me, where to put people. At number 8, we've got Ricky Lutelli. Now, he's in this same ballpark, and you'll see with the next few, they all sort of are. I think he's great, Ricky Lutelli. I think he has been for a number of years. But I think at Lee, he's really sort of kicked on. Solid player, again, good on both sides of the ball, goes way under the radar. And yet I'm surprised really that he's never been at one of the sort of big, I don't know, I guess you'd call it the big 4 clubs. Maybe, like, obviously he's been around like Huddersfield, obviously he was at Toronto back in the day, people forget that, and now Lee. Surprised he hasn't been at like your Wigan, Saints, Warrington, Leeds type teams. But you never know. So, number 7, we've got another one in the same ballpark, we've got Tim Laffey. Now, I think Laffey is, again, really underrated. Overseas player that's come over that just does the job every week for Salford. I think he's great. I just think he does everything well. And I think he's the sort of player that we don't necessarily produce as a country. Like, you'll see there is some English centres on here, of course. Obviously, we've had Newman already. But they're not this sort of profile that Laffey is. And it's a sort of player that we just don't develop over here, or well, I don't know why, but we just don't. But yeah, Laffey is absolutely great for Salford. At 6, we've got Peter Hiku. Now, obviously, he started the season at fullback, and he'd be nowhere near my fullback list because he was absolutely dreadful. But since they've moved him to centre, obviously Hull are absolutely flying now. Since they've moved him to centre, he has been great. And that's his position, that's why we're all calling out for it. He's a centre, play him in centre, and since they have, he's been great. And he's just improved that side as a whole and the whole structure of how that side's working. So yeah, Peter Hiku had to be on this list for me. Number 5, we've got someone who's probably not having the best season, but you can't deny what he's done, and that's Mark Percival. I know some Saints fans just don't like him. It's weird. He's over that period of dominance that Saints had, one of the most consistent performers and ever-present sort of players who were there every season of that. Obviously, like homegrown player as well. And yeah, don't get me wrong, he's not having the best season, but not many people at Saints are this season. And yeah, I think he's great, Percival, great defensively. Doesn't do too exciting with ball in hand, but does the job, got a good pair of hands on him. Obviously, he's got the bit of goal kicking to go with it as well. Yeah, he had to be on this list, and I think 5's about where he lands for me this season. Number 4, which is the most controversial, and I know it is, but I don't even care. And I've got Nene McDonald. Now, Matt's going to hate this because he doesn't like him from his time at Leeds. But you cannot deny how good Nene McDonald has been for Salford. And it kind of goes to show, and Matt's not going to like me saying this, maybe Nene McDonald wasn't the problem at Leeds. Maybe it was the coaching staff. Now he's got, he's under Paul Rowley, who's a coach who's not going to take any shit, who's got him under his wing playing good rugby. Rowan Smith never did, and it was easy for Nenny McDonald to just have the excuse of I'm just off home to see family member and stuff like that, and it was just a mess. So when he signed for Salford, we all thought, it's probably not the best signing, and we thought Nenny were the problem. Well, no, he just needed a coach who were going to get the best out of him, which he's now got at Salford. And yeah, you can't deny. I mean, you can tell on this list, Nenny McDonald is ranked higher than Momirovski's not coming up on this list, so he's ranked higher than both of Leeds' centres. So maybe they made the wrong decision letting him go, but that's for another podcast, I think. Number 3, I've got a player I really like, and that's Adam Kefren. Now, I think, don't get me wrong, he hasn't lit the world up for Wigan this season, but I think he did last season for Catalans. I think he was great last season for Catalans, and then in a better Wigan team, he doesn't shine as much. And obviously he doesn't goal kick because Harry Smith does the goal kicking. So it's a weird one really, but I think he's so good. Good defensively, good with ball in hand, the all-round centre. Yeah, he's absolutely great. And now let's go on to the top 2. And number 2, we've got Toby King. Now, again, there's obviously the whole saga with the centres all swapping teams and Toby King ending up at Wigan last year on loan, now back at Warrington. He seems to have got that quite right because Warrington are playing really well this year, and he's obviously a big part of that when he's being fit. He's great. Just good all-round centre. There's almost not too much more to say really with some of these players. How people watching this video know how good Toby King is, and that's why he's at number 2. Number 1, I assume you all know who this is. It's the other Wigan centre, and it is, of course, Jake Wardle. Now, he's one of them players where a while ago, not many people knew him under the radar, but honestly, since this move to Wigan, it's absolutely transformed his game. He's amazing. He's got to sort of feature in some form in the England setup, I would imagine. He just got to do. He's so good. Big part. He goes under the radar for Wigan, that's the problem, because Wigan are so good, but he's such an integral part to what they do, and as a centre, they don't come better in Super League, in my opinion. So yeah, that's the list. Let me know what you think and who I've missed. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.